The economic devastation of COVID-19 and a look at how city budgets across America are cratering. Congress is still gridlocked over a new economic relief bill to support the unemployed and struggling small businesses. Today, the Senate failed to advance a $300 billion Republican plan. House Democrats passed a competing version last month, but negotiations between the parties remain at an impasse, leaving dozens of local governments with tough decisions about cuts to services and even potential bankruptcies. Here's ABC's Devin Dwyer.
After COVID blew up their budgets, cities and states nationwide are bracing for a wave of deep cuts.
That means laying off workers. That means cutting programs to, particularly to underserved communities and to households that are under a lot of financial stress. They have no options here. They have to cut.
The coronavirus recession eviscerating the revenue that local governments need to keep essential services going.
That's emergency responders. That's healthcare workers, that's fire, that's police, that's teachers, all the things that we rely on at any time. But, obviously during a crisis like this pandemic, we rely on those workers more than we ever have before.
Nearly all U.S. cities from Seattle, Washington to tiny Fairfield, Alabama, facing rapidly growing budget deficits. A new analysis finding many communities likely to lose 10% or more in revenue because of the pandemic.
There are going to have to be some painful choices that are made, and everything has to be on the table, including the potential for layoffs. That's a conversation that we've just begun with our friends in organized labor.
Chicago staring down a $1.25 billion deficit, jobs now in jeopardy for countless city workers. Los Angeles declaring a fiscal emergency, already furloughing 15,000 workers, including its own mayor.
So the furloughs apply to us as elected officials and to all civilian employees, including those who work in our office. So yes, I donated 2 months of salary earlier this year during the pandemic.
In New York City, officials face a $9 billion shortfall over the next 2 years.
If they don't provide state and local funding, it will be financial chaos. The deficit is so large that we would have to do everything. We'd have to cut the budgets, and cutting the budgets hurts, especially now.
Spending cuts likely in cities in blue states and in red ones. Orlando, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and Oklahoma City among those projected to see the biggest drop in revenue from COVID-19. Residents struggling too. Half or more of the households in America's 4 largest cities report major financial problems, and about 20% say they're struggling to afford food. Cuts considered by local leaders would hit those families hard. Libraries, rec centers, parks, schools, and public transit. New York City's MTA, a vital lifeline for millions, announcing plans to reduce service by up to 40% if they don't receive $12 billion in relief. State governments, which give aid to their cities, are expected to be cash-strapped for years. Some project state budget shortfalls will total more than $500 billion between now and fiscal year 2022. And many economists say only the federal government has the resources to cushion the blow and stabilize city and state budgets.
There's no good choice here, right? I mean, we can borrow the money to provide that support, help people now, and then deal with the larger budget deficits and debt down the road on the other side of the pandemic. Or we can do nothing, sit on our hands, which means the people are going to struggle, the economy is going to get weaker. And the least bad choice, in my view, is step up, provide that support, make sure that the people understand the government has their back, and we can try to get out of this together as fast as possible.
Congress has passed unprecedented financial relief since the pandemic began, but Democrats and Republicans are gridlocked over how much more money to give. Aid for cities and states is at the center of the debate.
Senate Republicans are nervous about the large budget deficits and debt that's accumulating. I do think they're very reticent to give money in particular to state and local government. Some Republicans also think the economy is doing well enough. It's not great, obviously, but it's doing well enough that it doesn't need the additional support. They're not listening to economists like me tell them that, yeah, we need the help.
And while city bankruptcies are rare, economists worry more could be on the horizon, resulting in higher local taxes and fees and reduced public services, a prospect that has millions of Americans closely watching and waiting for Congress to act. For ABC News Live, I'm Devin Dwyer in Washington.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.